Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our July 26th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. And I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. This will be a fun one to talk about. God's blessing shines upon me from within my heart where He abides. I need but turn to Him and every sorrow melts away as I accept His boundless love for me. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And, I'm reading from the original edition put out by the Course in Miracles Society. And I just wanted to, I realized just the other day that this is not actually the public domain version, and that a request for a permission needs to be given. And I was able to let my mistake be made known to A Course in Miracles Society, and I thank Reverend Regina Joy Green for getting back to me so quickly and sharing with me that to share it far and wide, basically. So thank you. So A Course in Miracles Society, thank you for offering this book for us all. Our lesson: I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. Wow, here's what we're doing. We're actually wanting to bless ourselves. We don't have to sacrifice anything. Most of that lesson was about back in 187? Was talking about sacrifice. First time I read that, maybe for several years when I read it, I kept thinking, wonder why he talks so much about sacrifice in the lesson I'm supposed to bless myself. Well, the reason why is because you don't have to sacrifice. You need to be in the flow, and you get whatever your heart desires, because that's why it's desiring it, because your heart's in the flow too. So as we are able to listen in and tap into that inner knowing, well, then we get blessed. And in our blessing, we overflow and bless the world. Isn't this wonderful the way it works? So I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. God's blessing shines upon me from within my heart where He abides. I need but turn to Him, and every sorrow melts away as I accept His boundless love for me. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Well, I've been out on my place gathering more chanterelles. got a whole bag full, and I had some put in a hat to show you. And I'm sitting in front of a wild cherry tree, and it's a little small one. But you know what? This could eventually be a really big tree. And I thought to myself, I'd like the way that look at that way that trunk. I mean, it's only about, what's that? Maybe 6-year-old tree, and it's maybe 2.5-inch diameter. But you know what? That's going to open up. There's nothing above it. It's out in the middle of an opening. There's a couple trees I'll probably harvest close by, but nothing that's going to shade it for many years. And I just thought that it was really, I'm going to watch it through the years and see if it straightens up. That was my interest in it. And I don't think the tree itself will straighten up, but what it'll do, it'll grow more bark on the sides that needs to fill in. And so eventually, when that tree's maybe another 20 years from now, it'll be a pretty much straight saw log with a real interesting interior grain pattern that, you could leave for the next generation to find and even tell them about it. Those are the kind of things that I think we all need to be reconnecting to our Earth Mother. All right. So the things that nice about black cherry, you know what? Black cherry, the scientific name is Prunus serratina. And the thing I like about black cherry, and we've probably all heard about it, is it's good for coughs and colds. And it's the inner bark. So it says the cherry bark. I do a little research to find out. But with the cherry bark. And, I don't recommend taking the bark of the trunk. let that grow and let it protect the tree from fires and insects. But take a branch, a branch up high that's not going to hurt anything, one that would be nice to prune. Or in a little tree like this, just take some tips off where you want to prune it. And you want the central leader to not be inhibited, so I wouldn't break the central leader off on a nice tree that you're trying to eventually have for your grandchildren's homes. All right, beautiful, beautiful wood to be used for furniture and generally for doors, or something really nice, or you wanted some nice woodwork, cherry wood. What else did I want to say? Anyway, coughs and colds, it's so good for making a tea. Lots of people have used that for years. I think it's in many, many cough syrups. So anyway, wild black cherry. I just call it wild cherry, but I think technical name is black cherry. Of course, the technical name is Prunus serratina, I think that's how you pronounce it. All right, so we're going to bless the world as we bless ourselves. Let's not forget that. Let's keep that alive. And are you realizing how that when we sit in the silence every morning and every evening, it's maybe becoming easier for you to sit, and the time comes to go by fairly quickly, and you feel really good a lot of times. I know lots of times you're anxious and just got to be doing something else, but just sit there for the 15 minutes. I know it takes a little discipline to bring yourself back and sit down. But if you I even sometimes right in the middle of my meditation, just catch myself jumping up and walking off because I thought of something I want to go do. And I go, oh no, I'm supposed to be meditating. And I get to walk back, sit down. As soon as I realize, I become conscious, I go, oh no, I'm not supposed to do that right now. I need to go back and meditate. And I mean, I've actually done that before. So we want to just stay still and quiet as we're learning to listen. Listen inside. Listen to God's voice speak to us all through the day. All right? Much, much joy is had by that. All right, let's see. On our section that we are reading in the text, we're at chapter 2, the illusion of separation, and we're ready for healing as release from fear. So let's read just a little bit there. I was thinking we've actually been a little further than that. Yes, we are. We're actually ready in that section for paragraph 62. It's actually 63, but I'd like to get a rerun and read 62 again to bring our memory back to what we were talking about yesterday. And remember how yesterday he talked about that sometimes you might have to give you may not be ready for the atonement or for the miracle. And he said it might be a wise compromise approach to use something outside yourself for an immediate alleviation of fear and a relief of pain, and that's where I guess that's the main reason, or it is a reason why I love to share with you about the plants, because I think that they're foods. Remember Hippocrates said, let foods be thy medicine and medicine be thy foods. So if we knew what our bodies needed, well, then we can help as we're beginning to realize that really it's our mind that needs the healing and the changes. But we can do that. I mean, the distance may be too far to cross right now. And I mean, at one place he tells us that if we can't do it all internally, we may have to go out and do things. Tells us that in the levels of developing trust in the Manual for Teachers. So what we want to do is just try to be more willing just to sit and be still and know. And as the times become less and less that you are allowing Spirit to be your guide, allowing God to come on the present scene and say what needs to be done, knowing it's what makes you the most joyful. And there won't be any involvement in sacrifice. You won't be acting like you're trying to keep yourself from doing anything. You get to do exactly what your heart wants to do because you're in touch with your true self. And that's what we want to do, and that's how we're going to bless the world. Okay, so but sometimes that can be a little further than what we can actually seem to get to. So it's time to split wood and haul water is what they used to say. You can't quite get it figured out. Well, just go do something good to help somebody. And so, what a nice thing that we could all know to do if we just were able to find something and share it with someone. I like to. I'm sure that there'll be people that'll help me eat these, and I'll just share it with them. And I haven't really checked to see what kind of health values they have, but whatever they are, we'll try to learn them. And if people need more of this particular thing, it would be our spiritual duty to help them in that respect. So anyway, I like to think of ourselves as being able to be following God, and when we're not able to see or follow and know what to do, well, we just do what love would do in this world. Split wood and haul water is how it used to be said. And I still like that. Of course, not many people need to haul water with modern day plumbing, and with central heat and air, you probably don't have to get your wood as much. I still do, but I like burning wood at my place. All right, lesson 6 or paragraph 62. Magic is essentially mindless or the miscreative use of the mind. Physical medications are forms of spells. Those who are afraid to use the mind to heal should not attempt to do so. The very fact that they are afraid has made them vulnerable to miscreation. They are therefore likely to misunderstand any healing they might induce, and because egocentricity and fear usually occur together, may be unable to accept the real source of the healing. Under these conditions, it is safer for them to rely temporarily on physical healing devices because they cannot misperceive them as their own creations. As long as their sense of vulnerability persists, they should be preserved from even attempting miracles. As long as their sense of vulnerability persists, they should be preserved from even attempting miracles. Just give it to God. That's actually a good place all the time. It's just, God, if you want me to perform a miracle, well, you're just going to have to do it. Show me what it is. That's been my attitude. There could be times where I really think, oh, this really needs done. But you know what? There's so many things to know about a situation. How would you ever really know? So I just kind of follow my guidance. If I'm supposed to do something, I look back later and I go, wow, that ended up creating a miracle. But I don't really need to know the whole plan. Just need to be a good follower, a good listener, following your heart. I can't emphasize anything more important than that. Just listen to your heart. That's where God speaks. That's why it's so important that we not only have those 15 minutes morning and evening times, but also that hourly remembrance. And now he's telling us even between the hours, try to remember our lesson. What's our lesson? I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Okay, in verse 63, or paragraph 63, we've already said that the miracle is an expression of miracle-mindedness. Miracle-mindedness merely means right-mindedness in the sense that we are now using it. The right-minded neither exalt nor depreciate the mind of the miracle worker or the miracle receiver. However, as a creative act, the miracle need not await the right-mindedness of the receiver. In fact, its purpose is to restore him to his right mind. It is essential, however, that the miracle worker be in his right mind, or he will be unable to reestablish right-mindedness in someone else. Isn't that something? So this is how we bless the world. You know, this is the theoretical part behind our practice for today. That we bless the world by being in what's he say? Our right-mindedness. And that's what helps us restore the right-mindedness of others. So you miracle workers, be sure you're living in your right-mindedness. It is essential, however, that the miracle worker be in his right mind, or he will be unable to reestablish right-mindedness in someone else. 64. The healer who relies on his own readiness is endangering his understanding. He's perfectly safe as long as he is completely unconcerned about his readiness, but maintains a constant trust in mine. I love that. He's completely unconcerned about his readiness, but maintains a consistent trust in mine. If your miracle-working propensities are not functioning properly, it is always because fear has intruded on your right-mindedness and has literally upset it or turned it upside down. All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. If those who need to be healed are simply those who have not realized that right-mindedness is healing. Let's read that again. All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. All forms of not right-mindedness are the result of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. So accepting your atonement for yourself is just being able to forgive everybody for everything all the time. And stay happy. Stay happy. Be at peace. That's your job, your willingness to do that. You don't even have to be successful if you're willing to. You'll be given the strength of heaven to make it happen. But when you're feeling a little bit down, upset, discouraged, whatever the words are, that's when you stop and say, I need help, and then wait for it. Have that willing attitude, that willing, really honestly willing, not just a show of action or it's actually be a real willingness. And of course, when you're willing. All forms of not right-mindedness are results of refusal to accept the atonement for yourself. If the miracle worker does accept it, he places himself in a position to recognize that those who need to be healed are simply those who have not realized that right-mindedness is healing. Okay? We want to get our minds straightened out, have right-mindedness. 65. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. This means that he recognizes that mind is the only creative level and that its errors are healed by the atonement. Once he accepts this, his mind can only heal. By denying his mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, he has placed himself in a position where he can undo the level confusion of others. We're going to read that again. I know I haven't finished the paragraphs, but listen to this. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. The sole responsibility is to accept the atonement for yourself. This means that he recognizes that mind is the only creative level and that its errors are healed by the atonement. The mind is the only creative level and that it's healed by the atonement, by the accepting of our oneness. Once he accepts this, his mind can only heal. By denying his mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, he has placed himself in a position where he can undo the level confusion of others. The message he then gives to others is the truth that their minds are similarly constructive and that their miscreations cannot hurt them. By affirming this, the miracle worker releases the mind from over-evaluating its own learning device, the body, and restores the mind to its true position as the learner. Isn't this wonderful? I hope you got that. Let's read that last sentence once again. The message then that the person that has his right mindfulness set up, and by denying his mind any destructive potential and reinstating its purely constructive powers, he has placed himself in a position where he can undo the level confusion of others. The message he then gives to others is the truth that their minds are similarly constructive and that their miscreations cannot hurt them. Isn't that great? We know that all things work together for good. And we believe that. We trust it. We know it. Not because we are so incredibly able, even though we really are as we're connected with God, but that's God's ability. Our little willingness, but is met with the strength of heaven. So the message he then gives to others is the truth that their minds are similarly constructive and that their miscreations cannot hurt them. By affirming this, the miracle worker releases the mind from over-evaluating its own learning device, the body, and restores the mind to its true position as the learner. In the sum, we're learning that it's all in mind. We don't have to worry about the body. It'll take care of the things of itself. That's why it's so valuable to go into these quiet times where you get to be with your mind without distraction from all the body needs and day-to-day affairs. You get the mind to be with the mind and all bathed on the altar of God. bathed in God's love and light's what I meant to say, on the altar of God. Okay, paragraph 66. It should be emphasized again that the body does not learn any more than it creates. As a learning device, it merely follows the learner. But if it is falsely endowed with self-initiative, it becomes a serious obstruction to the very learning it should facilitate. As a learning device, it merely follows the learner, but if it is falsely endowed with self-initiative, it becomes a serious obstruction to the very learning it should facilitate. Only the mind is capable of illumination. The soul is already illuminated, and the body in itself is too dense. The mind, however, can bring its illumination to the body by recognizing that density is the opposite of intelligence and therefore unamenable to independent learning. It is, however, easily brought into alignment with a mind which has learned to look beyond density toward light. Are we learning to do that? To look beyond density toward light? Beyond density toward light. You know, I think we probably should stop there. Wow. That was good, though. You know, I have, let's look again at our lesson. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. God's blessing shines upon me from within my heart where He abides. I need but turn to Him, and every sorrow melts away as I accept His boundless love for me. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Sometimes I think I should just sit here and be still and quiet for a minute with you all hanging on with me, just so we could kind of listen to some birds that I can hear, and maybe you can't hear them because I'm talking all the time. It's a little quiet out here this afternoon. Let's learn and be insistent to go inside and find that silence. Till tomorrow, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I bless the world because I bless myself. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.